It's not about politics. It's about football.
This is a simple game.
We're going to run the ball, and we're going to pass the ball. He's just going to play football, really.
How good of a football player are you?
I just get in and try to spin it. That's all.
I just love the game.
It really is the best time of the year.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to It's Just Football on a beautiful Friday morning as we are trying to pick ourselves up from what was a game that truly set the game of football back centuries.
We knew it was
in
going to
Bears
happen.
Commanders.
Yeah, I mean, we knew it was going to happen, right? We were saying this. People were saying it couldn't get worse than last Thursday. I was like, well, have you seen these teams play this?
It's somehow, somebody tweeted out in the middle of that game last night, boy, do I miss Broncos Colts. And my God, has a more damning statement never been made.
Yeah, it was, I mean.
What was your favorite part?
My favorite part, it was the last play, or not the last play of the game, I guess, because they ended up kneeling, but
we know what you meant.
The fourth down to Darnell Mooney. That was high drama still for a game that was kind of poop the rest of the time. So that play, him catching it but still being out of bounds, that at least was exciting.
Oh man, kind of poop at the time is actually a good segue into one of our first Refresh Your Timeline segments. But before we get into that, gotta say what's up to the chat. You were a little early on it. But I'll use it. We'll get back to it. What's up to the chat? Happy Friday to everybody who is at home watching the show. Thank you for joining us. Shout out to TJ Sumagray, who was the chat champ from yesterday when we did trivia. TJ, I see you in the chat. TJ already said, I hope everybody listened to him. Hammered the under from last night. You did. Yeah. I hoped it would be a better game. Lord have mercy, it was not.
No,
TJ was right.
When Vegas knows it's going to be bad, to that degree, usually it is bad. Usually there's no coming back from two just disaster franchises meeting. That franchise, that may be too hard, but two disaster rosters meeting each other like that.
Quinn, do we have a question of the day that has to do with Thursday Night Football? Because if it does, I might just boycott it.
We sure do.
Okay.
I try to keep these things topical.
You do. You do a great job. You do a good job.
And this one's actually kind of interesting. Carson Wentz dropped back to pass 25 times and recorded 99 passing yards last night. Who was the last quarterback to drop back at least 25 times, record less than 100 yards, and still win the game? So we're talking bad football here.
I don't know. Who's this going to be?
I mean, Mac Jones had less than 100 yards and won a game last year, but obviously didn't drop back 25 times.
Are you sure?
Yeah. That was the Bills game last year, right?
Yeah, there's been a lot of quarterbacks that have had less, right? Like if you don't start the game and you come in off the bench.
How close to this game are we here? How far back do we have to go?
It was last year.
Okay, it was last year.
Okay. 25.
Okay, it's not
less
too
than
far.
100.
We need the chat to help us out here.
Yeah.
Can y'all remember any abysmal quarterback performances of that nature? Mac Jones would have been a good guess.
Yeah.
Who else didn't throw the ball last year?
Well, 25 times is still kind of.
Or no. Yeah.
Didn't throw the ball well.
Right. That's kind of what I meant.
I mean, Carson Wentz had some games where he didn't throw the ball well, but I don't think less than 100 yards.
All right, hold on. I'm pulling up some stats. We're going to get into this one a little bit. Obviously, you guys don't have to give your final answer until the end of the show. We'll revisit this a couple of times. Taylor Heineke, no. Jalen Hurts, maybe, last year?
No, they wouldn't drop back to pass that much when he was not passing well, when they still won games.
Who's got super low yards per attempt?
Good D. Maybe Drew Lock.
Dare I say Tua?
Oh, yeah.
And then at some point last year.
No, I don't think he had that bad of a game.
That's bad.
That is bad.
Davis Mills, another one I'll throw out there. Ooh. Is it Ben Roethlisberger?
Could be.
Come on.
I don't know.
The average depth of target for Roethlisberger was behind the line of scrimmage last year.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm gonna go with Roethlisberger, but we have up until the end of the show to get our final interest in there. People said Taysom Hill, but Taysom Hill's not throwing the ball 25 times.
Yeah.
Even in the games that he would have started at quarterback, I don't think it's
maybe Simeon when he started. I don't know. I don't have a good handle.
I'm decently confident on Roethlisberger.
Okay.
I think that could be it. Quinn, by the way, somebody in the chat said you look swole today. So I don't know if it's, I don't know.
No, I saw that.
I don't know if you've been. I don't know if you put a little.
It was brought to my attention, actually.
Little morning workout in. Maybe you just like hammered some push-ups before you got into the camera.
No, I have not worked out since Tuesday.
Wow.
Actually.
Dude, he's just naturally fit. Quinn's just a naturally fit dude.
Yeah.
All right, you want to do the segue?
Let's do it.
Speaking of poop, we had an instance last night. Somebody caught something on camera.
Unconfirmed.
We'll let you guys be the judge.
Yeah.
What are we looking at here?
Precariously placed grass stain, if that's what we are looking at.
Interesting.
But I think we all know what that is. And truthfully, I've been there.
You've been there?
7th grade basketball. Muhammad Seymour Junior High. I was letting some rip pregame.
Brother.
I didn't even feel like I had actually shit my pants, but I had farted a lot on the bench, sitting in the locker room. And come out, pull off the warm-ups, and there is a brown stain in the back of my white basketball shorts. And it's a little easier. It's hard to live down when you're in 7th grade compared to on an NFL football field in front of the national audience. But it happens. It happens to the best of us.
It doesn't happen to the best of us.
Well,
it doesn't happen to the best of us.
Who was that, by the way? Was that?
It was a Bears offensive lineman.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know who it was. I couldn't see the number, but I couldn't disagree with you more. Have there been times when I've played sports and my stomach has not felt great? Yeah. Yes, of course. I've never pooped my pants while playing.
It wasn't a poop of pants. It was just you fart and you don't know. It's
shart is the method.
Shart. I mean, it's but it wasn't even. I didn't even shart. I was just blasting normal farts on a seated. If you fart a lot during a day, you're putting stuff out your asshole that.
Now you're bringing it down
was
to
in
science.
Your asshole.
We're moving on. We are absolutely moving on.
All
Mike told me before. He's like, I got something for this, and I had no idea that we were going to go down there for all of the families who are watching this show for the first time on a Friday.
But I did then have to be diligent when I wore white home games every time, and I knew I was farting. I would either lift my ass off the seat, and I would ask my buddies. I'd be like, "Hey, you see anything there? You see anything there?" After I would fart, just to make sure.
I wonder if social teams can use that clip to promo the show. Probably.
It's not a bad one.
Yeah, Zach, use that clip. We'll clip it. We'll use that. Somebody said Mike Renner's PFF grade on that story is a 44.7.
I actually transferred schools the next year. Not because of that, but I did.
Come on. It was a little bit because of that.
It played a factor.
It was a little bit because of that. Okay, something that actually happened in the game. Did you see the Fields push-up after the touchdown? If you didn't see it, we play it for you right now. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. Fields throws a dime of a big-time throw in a deep ball. And afterwards, he looked hurt. He didn't get.
I'm surprised he didn't get flagged by the judge, whatever, for the concussion thing. But
what do you mean?
I mean, when you can't, the Teddy Bridgewater thing, get pulled out of the game, get flagged.
No, but he did the push-up to say, "No, I'm good."
To basically say this is still physically fit.
He got hit, and I'm pretty sure he got hit by the defensive lineman throwing his offensive tackle into him. It wasn't even like a hit. Defensive player didn't even hit Fields. He just threw his offensive tackle straight into him. He falls to the ground, and he's hurt. He's doing the leg kick thing. His face is against the ground, and you're like, oh, no. Is Fields really hurt? And he comes up, and he just does the push-ups. He's like that. It's that one drunk guy that you hang out with in the bar who's just like, I bet I can do 25 push-ups right now. And then he just is like, brother, nobody bet you.
Yeah.
Nobody told you to do that.
Yeah.
And that's what Fields is doing. He just wanted to show off the push-up game.
Fields, though, man, he got rocked again. I mean, another game where too many hits on him, 5 sacks, under pressure, 24 or 42 dropbacks. Of his 42 dropbacks, 15 don't even result in passes. With 30 of dropbacks aren't even pass plays. That's just it's the same story, different week.
It's
just Bears offense.
It's funny. I had a couple of Jets fans, and I'm sure they were just having fun with it, so I laughed as well. But they tweeted at me. They're like, "Oh, you ready to pick Zach Wilson?" Because yesterday we did the Zach Wilson versus Justin Fields thing, and Justin Fields obviously looked terrible last night, outside of a couple of flash moments. And it's like, what part of his situation changed from when we did the segment Thursday morning and what I saw on Thursday night?
Yeah.
The team around him is awful. The offensive line around him is awful. I said that he was broken mentally because of the system that he's been in for the last 2 years. That wasn't going to change on Thursday Night Football. No, I'm not taking it back.
Yeah.
I want somebody save him. Somebody get him out of Chicago. Do something. Last refresh the timeline we have. Ron Rivera is heated. Ron Rivera, normally a very calm, cool, collected guy. I feel like Ron Rivera is pretty stoic. Not that he hasn't been fired up before, but I feel like he's a very stoic dude. Last night after the game, if you guys missed it, we got the clip for you. You got to hear it.
Get on you. And they've played their asses off. They have. They played their asses off for everybody. They come out and they show up. They work hard. All right. They don't complain. Okay. They hear all this stuff and they got to deal with it. I get that. I respect them for that because they're resilient. They come out. Everybody keeps wanting to say, I didn't want anything to do with Carson. Well, bullshit. I'm the fucking guy that pulled out the sheets of paper, that looked at the analytics, that watched the tape in the freaking when we were in Indianapolis. Okay? And that's what pisses me off. Because the young man doesn't deserve to have that all the time. I'm sorry, I'm done.
Woo!
Immediate thoughts?
So I guess two immediate thoughts. One, I don't think he looked at the analytics. I'm just going to say it. If you looked at the analytics, you probably wouldn't have made that trade.
What are the analytics?
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what analytics he looked at.
What are the analytics?
He looked at a box score.
That felt a little buzzword. You know, with like when you're trying to. Like,
he also
say
said he
something.
looked at the paper too.
Yeah,
like
he
who's
said,
using
paper
in
well,
2022.
Okay,
you know?
but let's be honest. I mean, like most coaches in the NFL.
The paper said trade for Wentz. It was from Dan Snyder.
Jeez.
He probably printed off like an Excel spreadsheet.
So I don't really know what analytics he was looking at. But what was the other point?
And then the other point was that's like a telltale sign of a guy who's about to.
He's very frustrated.
Be gone, right? You know,
He's
that's
very frustrated.
Jim Mora.
Yeah.
Playoffs rant. That's the telltale rant that I'm frustrated. Job's not going well, and that's after a win.
Yeah.
This was not a post-loss.
Right.
Being pissed off. He's pissed off after a win because obviously, you know, it was not a pretty win and does not bode well for wins in the future, despite showing up as a W in the win conversation.
That's the toughest part to me is you won the game.
Yeah.
You won the game on the road. And that was your reaction. I'm used prime time loosely. There just happens to be no other football game going on Thursday nights. But short week, tough versus those expectations anyways. You haven't had the best start to the year. You've dropped 4 in a row. You go on the road to Chicago. You get a gutsy win, comes down to the last second, emotional kind of, like you said, last play win. Mm-hmm. And that was the mindset that he was in. I agree. That's a peel backing of the curtain of what's going on behind the scenes. And look, Ron is certainly to blame for some of that frustration because we saw earlier this week. Hey, why are the other teams in the NFC East playing really well and you're not? Quarterback. And don't sit here and tell me like, oh, that wasn't a full context of what he said. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
He said one word to that answer. He said quarterback.
Yeah.
And then it took a follow-up question for him to then explain himself a little bit better. But there is no doubt about it. The behind the scenes, like, it's not looking good in Washington. Whether it was the ESPN article that came out a couple of days ago about Dan Snyder that was exposing a ton of stuff from conversations that have happened behind the scenes of people who have been in his inner circle, the pressure to maybe get him out of there as an NFL owner, then of course the team not playing well. The head coach, you said it yesterday, the defensive side of the football, him not holding up his bargain as a defensive head coach, and then of course the quarterback they chose, that he chose, that is there, that is, in his own words, failing them, a reason why they're behind in the NFC East. So I agree, man. Looks like a frustrated Ron Rivera, and it looks like a Ron Rivera that might be at the end of the line here.
Yeah. Obviously, it's going to take some losses to get him out of there, but this is a team that we're looking at them seriously in their schedule in the future. Mid-season, 2/3 of the way through the season, and would not surprise me.
You guys had a funeral for him, just
that's right, yeah.
Straight
up. You know, like it is.
Up.
We did. Yeah. It happened. It happened. It did happen. James in the chat said, I think he's saying of the Ron Rivera outbreak there, he said, feels like in Mario Kart when you throw a green shell in front of you and it bounces off the wall and then it hits yourself and you're like, oh, that is bullshit.
Yeah.
That's kind of spot on.
If it isn't the results of my actions.
Nico said, why say frick when you just said the F word? I did notice that too. He was trying to calm himself down. He was trying to control himself. Ron Rivera is a family man.
Yeah, I mean, I said I can't hate on that. I said that just the other day on the show.
I know.
I said the F word and then I said F.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, let's move on to some other games that we have this week. maybe some better matchups. Let's hope that there's certainly better matchups. Let's take a look at the lines for some of these Week 6 games that we got going here.
Production studio.
Wow, Quinn, the line's looking good. Nice.
Line's looking real buff, apparently.
Yeah.
Looking real buff this morning. All right, anything stick out to you? Obviously, I think the Bills-Chiefs game,
Yeah, I
right,
was
is the
gonna
one
say,
that we got to talk about.
That last 3 in the slate is what I'm looking for. I think all those games, and we'll get to one of them. Well, I'm not actually looking forward to watching Broncos-Chargers, but I think it's meaningful. But Cowboys-Eagles, get a real good handle on this Eagles offense, where they stand. Jordan Mailata obviously playing, if he doesn't play, or him playing is a big
right?
sort of toss-up for that game and how it ends up faring. Yeah,
he's questionable.
Questionable. So, as you see, this Cowboys D-line, we talked about, most pressures in the NFL, highest pass rush grade in the NFL, gotten after pretty much everybody they've faced, but they haven't faced this Eagles offensive line, who at full strength is the best offensive line in the NFL. So, strength versus strength, something's got to give. Excited to see that, for sure.
I'm excited to see that one as well. You see some Jalen Hurts stats there, and obviously, quarterbacks are better when there's not pressure as opposed to when there is. And I wanted to highlight a couple of the stats there just so you guys saw them. But
that was the analytics that Ron Rivera looked at.
Okay. Hey, did you guys know he's worse under pressure?
All we got to do is just keep him clean. Then he has a 95 passer rating.
So what the thing that I actually wanted to talk about with these numbers is actually a conversation that I brought up a little bit yesterday when I was talking about Justin Fields. When the pressure does mount and you can get out of the pocket and there's a little bit of space in front of you, are you still keeping your eyes downfield or are you tucking it to run? Because quarterbacks that have a lot of ability with their legs to pick up a couple of yards, is that always the best situation? Like, is that always the best end result that you could have on the play? And I would say that oftentimes it is not. So, sometimes it is, but there are a lot of times where you can still keep your eyes downfield and get the ball further downfield. Will Jalen Hurts be able to continue to see the football field like he has, I think, already this season when pressure is against him, when he might have a little bit more room to move outside the pocket? Can he keep his eyes downfield? But let's talk a little bit more about that Bills-Chiefs game. This is a rematch of one of the best playoff games that we have ever seen, a game that ended up changing the NFL rulebook for the overtime period because a lot of people thought that it wasn't fair that Chiefs got the ball at the end of the game and the Bills did not. This has to be the game that both teams circled in red to start the year. So what are some of your key matchups? What do you like here, Mike, when it comes to this game?
Well, I don't like betting this game because of what we saw in that game last year, because of what Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen are capable of when their backs are against the wall and they have to score. As we saw, they just both were going back and forth, scoring at will. So that's why I just think that's all I really want to see is those two quarterbacks playing at a high level. We really haven't had one of those games yet this year, right? We haven't had really a back and forth quarterback type of shootout that was a lot of the playoff games a season ago. So that's what I'm probably looking forward to the most in that Bills-Chiefs game.
Yeah, we had a couple of stats up there with the Chiefs running backs versus the Bills defense versus running backs. And I think that if you're looking at these two potent offenses, you're looking for X factors, right? What are those little parts of the game that could end up making all the difference in the world? Chiefs right now, first in the NFL in passing grade when throwing two running backs. Have the third EPA per play when targeting running backs. They have the fourth amount of touchdowns. Now, touchdowns, a little bit situational. But I think the first two stats certainly talk to how successful and efficient they have been when targeting the running backs out of the backfield in the passing game. Bills defense versus running backs, only 121 passing yards allowed, which is the fourth best in the NFL. Average depth of tackle, which I kind of just wanted to flex a little bit that we have the average depth of tackle stat in our database, minus 0.3.
That is a Matt Milano stat.
I mean, Matt Milano, the safety's coming up, the corners being willing to play physical against the run, all that goes into it, and I just think that is a big X factor area when it comes to those games as well.
I'm excited to watch Jets-Packers, though, too. Jets, hot. Jets fans, finally some reason to be excited for the first time in, I don't know how long, a long time. We'll just say that. Heading to Green Bay. I think that's going to be a fun one.
I do too.
I think that 7.5 is just too much, the way the Green Bay Packers have been playing lately.
Abel Fett says Jets-Packers. Got a couple more people saying Jets-Packers. Obviously, the Cowboys versus the Eagles. JM says Browns-Patriots going to be a straight game out of the 80s.
Yeah, that one really will. It's really, the Patriots are going to test that Browns run D. They have been soft as goose shit up the middle this season.
Damn, that's what you want?
I was going to say baby shit, but then... we've already talked too much human poop on this podcast. So.
Goose, scared bird, soft. Jim
Geese are definitely scared birds.
Jim Harbaugh. Actually, no.
Bird.
Ducks are scared birds. You ever try to mess with a goose? They'll F you up.
Yeah. They used to be on the golf course I played.
Yeah, right. You can't go near them, man. Yeah. They're aggressive. Maybe you got to pick another analogy. We're not disrespecting geese here on the show.
The poop though is very soft. It would stick to my shoes a lot.
Sure.
Not great.
From experience. All right, we're moving on to another segment, which is going to help us preview some of these games. We threw out a couple that we liked. You guys actually spoiled one of the ones that I'm talking about. But anybody who's seen the movie Wolf of Wall Street knows the phrase, "Sell me this pen." It is a theme of that entire movie, basically how good at sales are you? Can you sell something to someone? So, Mike, I want you to look at a game or two in the slate coming up this weekend, and I want you to sell me why I should watch it, why I should care about it. So here, you get to hold it. Sell me these games.
Well, I'll just preface this by saying I'm a terrible salesman. I did not go into sales. I cannot sell. I honestly just don't even want to sell people on something. Just do whatever you want. Watch whatever you want.
Do you want to make money or not?
I will say this. Jaguars-Colts. Rematch of that, was it week 2 game? That Jaguars shut them out, kind of the Jaguars coming out party this year. Oh, they're back. Now both teams are kind of reeling. Now both teams are back up against the wall where either of these teams lose this game. Colts lose this game, you're 2 down on the Jags in the division. Jags lose this game, you're 2-4. Now back to kind of the old Jags. This is it. This is a must-win at this point in the season if these teams are realistically going to claw back and make the playoffs. So that's why I like this game as something that's going to be, worth watching despite maybe the product that they've put on the field the past couple weeks not being worth watching. And then the other one is in a similar vein. Broncos at Chargers. Both teams kind of have their backs up against the wall again. Broncos 2-3. They lose this game going to Los Angeles. It's over. 2-4. You're not coming back in the West for sure. Wild card in the AFC is going to be well above 500, I would bet, by the end of the season. So that game, Broncos lose. It's over. Chargers lose this game. You're 3-3. You're kind of rudderless. You're going to fall well behind the Chiefs in this division. Yeah, you could still make the playoffs, but you're going to have to dig out of a hole then once you do make the playoffs to get to the Super Bowl, which was what everyone's kind of pumping up this Chargers team as being that. So those are 2 games worth watching. I'll also highlight the fact that no Rashawn Slater against this now formidable Broncos pass rush could mean bad things for Justin Herbert. So those are the 2 games that kind of must wins for all 4 of those teams, even if they're not great teams at the moment.
We've got a couple of people in the chat here that said, Tyler said, watching Matt Ryan's corpse, always exciting. So you sold him there on watching zombie Matt Ryan. JM just said, can't sell me on a Matt Ryan game. Sorry, Mike. So I guess you didn't win.
Not a good salesman.
You didn't win. You didn't win that there. Abel Fett said, as a Colts fan, I wouldn't recommend watching Jags Colts. So
yeah,
it's tough. It's tough there.
The product might not be good. The meaning of it, maybe.
Ben said, Mike Billy Mays Renner.
R.I.P.
No.
Hey, legend.
Okay. All right.
Billy Mays and the Wolf of Wall Street crew, they had a lot in common in terms of things that they like to do.
Sales?
Yeah, sales.
Sales. Yes. Creating stable companies. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. All right. We need to move on. I'm going to sell you on Jets Packers.
Okay.
And I'm
sell the Packers fan on Jets Packers.
I'm kind of mad that you guys already said that Jets Packers was the sneaky one, but you guys knew this, so I have faith that you're going to watch it anyways. Jets Packers, man. Jets are in trouble. The Packers are in trouble.
Okay, I was going to say.
The Packers are in big trouble here. Jets are coming off 2 wins, okay? They're both 3-2 going into this one. You look at Zach Wilson, the way he has been able to play since coming back, he has looked better. He has looked more in control. He's looked more willing to attack the middle of the field. I think the grades that we've seen over the last 2 weeks, small sample size, but he's looked good. The offensive line's getting a little bit better. I like the running back room that he has to hand the ball off to. The wide receivers are there for him. It's all coming together, I think, for Zach Wilson. Him going to Lambeau could be a huge turn-the-page statement game for him if he can pull this off. That is one reason why you need to watch this game. And then on the other side of the football, you look at the Jets' defense, man. 7 interceptions already this season. That's second. 4.8 interception per coverage target. That's first. 17 forced incompletions. So they're making plays on the ball. Aaron Rodgers, only 4 turnover-worthy plays because that's how Aaron Rodgers always is. But their margin of victory, Mike, It's a 2-point win. It's a 3-point win. It's a 17-point win against the Bears. But they're not winning by a lot. You get 1 or 2 extra turnovers from this Jets defense that is actually playing really, really well in the turnover category, the Jets can win this football game. They are 7.5-point dogs, and I'm telling you right now, the Jets can win this football game. It'll be a lot of fun to watch if you watch it. So there you go.
I found the grossest stat, I think, imaginable for the Packers defense earlier today.
What is it?
They have 1 pick this season and only 6 forced incompletions. No one else in the NFL has fewer than, I believe, 11 forced incompletions on the season. They are not getting their hands on the football defensively. They are playing the softest of soft zone coverages, and it is infuriating to watch as a owner of the team.
You should put money on this game.
Well, not on the Packers side.
But I'm saying you should put money on the Jets game, and
Emotional
then you should
hedge.
watch it. And then you should watch this game because it is setting up for the Jets to make a huge statement on the road as a team that is no longer in the cellar and a team that is moving in the right direction. So that's why you should watch this game. I got one more.
Yes. You sold me on that one. I'm watching.
Okay.
I'm in.
Bucks at Steelers.
You're gonna have to sell me on this one.
It's gonna be a blowout. Okay. It's not. It should not be a good game. But this is very important for one Kenny Pickett. Okay. Steelers right now. What's their record, Mike? It's 1-4, right?
Correct.
That is tied with a couple of other teams for the number 1 pick in the 2023 NFL Draft. They ain't getting TJ Watt back anytime soon. Kenny, for as exciting as he was at the beginning, still was kind of a turnover-worthy play machine when he came into the game, okay? If Kenny Pickett does not look better down the stretch of this season, and this game could go a long way into some tough conference for him, because remember, they have a really tough schedule from here on out. They play the Bucs at home, but then they're on the road to Philadelphia, and then it's not Buffalo. What's the other one? It's Philadelphia. I know they play the Saints after the bye week. I think it's Miami. I think
see their schedule?
I think they go to Miami. Yes, I think it's Miami,
they go to
Philadelphia,
Miami,
and then
Philly,
and then
New Orleans.
So if Kenny Pickett looks bad in this game at home in Pittsburgh, where he won the Heisman Trophy last year, you start to get in big trouble confidence-wise. You start to go up against some good defenses on the road, and that would not look good. And the reason why you want to watch this game is because if Kenny Pickett does not look good, especially from the turnover-worthy play category, we are going to start talking about the Steelers drafting a quarterback at the top of next year's draft. Because they're not going to win football games if Kenny Pickett can't bring them to a different level. They're going to be in the top 5 of the order, and the quarterback position that everybody knows, if you're picking at the top 5, you're going to want to replace, you're going to want to upgrade. That's going to get into the conversation here. That's why you watch Bucs versus Steelers. If it's a close game, okay, maybe we can curb a little bit of the drafting a quarterback talk. But if not, Steelers really could be one of those teams that's gunning for a quarterback at the top of next year's draft.
Yeah, they're really paying right now for their draft record. Yeah, right? They are. They're impact players on this roster. They're paying a lot of money for, and your talent level dwindles, or your overall team health dwindles the fewer guys you have making an impact on rookie contracts. You just look at their first round pick history. 2016, Artie Burns obviously didn't even make it through his rookie contract. 2017, TJ Watt, hit. 2018, Terrell Edmonds, whiff. 2019, Devin Bush, whiff. 2020, no first round pick. 2021, Najee Harris, whiff. You have no first round picks making any impact on this roster. That right there is how you go from a team competing for Super Bowls 10-0 2 years ago to what they are right now. Or was that 3 years ago? Whenever that was. 2 years ago.
I'm still saying Ben Roethlisberger's the trivia question of the day. Can we bring the trivia question of the day back up? I wanted to be better about bringing it up throughout the show. I want to make sure that people got the parameters right. We're going to get y'all's final answers at the end of the show. This kind of ties into it a little bit because I thought Ben Roethlisberger is my answer to this question.
I'm thinking less than 100 yards.
Carson Wentz dropped back for 25 passes. Last night recorded 99 passing yards in their victory over the Bears. Who was the last quarterback? And it was last year. Quinn gave us that hint. Who was the last quarterback to drop back at least 25 times, record less than 100 yards, and still win the game?
I don't know.
Do you guys want a hint?
Yes, hint us.
Okay, it's a household name. It's maybe not like super obvious, but it'll be one when you hear it, you're like, yeah, I can see that. He's good for one of those.
Now that makes me change my answer a little bit here.
He's good for one of those.
He's good for one of those. Who is the most he's good for one of those quarterbacks in the NFL?
Ooh, you know who it could be? No.
Yes. Okay, now I want to know who you were saying.
Baker Mayfield is the one that then came.
There's no way.
Because he was
There's no way Baker threw for less than 100 yards.
You don't think so? He was awful in some games last year. And they still were winning.
No
Remember down
way.
like the stretch? They kind of won some games even though he was ass.
You know what would be tricky? Someone actually just said this in the chat. It would be tricky. It would be if it was Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
If Carson Wentz was the last one to do it since Carson Wentz.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he was. It's one of those.
He's good for one of those. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, we'll keep thinking about it. People are saying Kirk Cousins. I don't think Kirk Cousins finished a game with less than 100 yards passing. With 25 dropbacks? No,
that's not like he's good for one of those guys.
No,
he always pads the stats.
Yeah, I don't think so. Well, we got some more time left to think about it. But in the meantime, we're going to welcome our good friend Ian Hartitz back into the show, as we do every single Friday, to get your fantasy fix on the weekend. Everybody make sure you get in your start, sit questions for Ian.
We almost had him.
As we, was it black?
Yeah.
Oh, that was there it is. He kept it up. He kept it up there. He stayed strong. He kept flexing. He knew we were going to get there, so he had to keep the pose up. Ian, how are we feeling on this Friday, my friend?
I'm great, man. I was in my echo chamber waiting to come on screaming. I think it was Carson Wentz last year as well. I don't know if he hit the 25 dropbacks, though. It was that game against the Patriots where he threw for like 70 yards and Jonathan Taylor had the big house call at the end to kind of ice things. I don't know if he got the dropback number, though. That would be tricky.
Okay. All right. I think that's a contender. That's a contender for the final answer there. Ian, who are we feeling in fantasy this week? I know you do a lot of different start-sit predictions. I'm looking at your starts. Rondale Moore, my boy, please tell me you believe. Please tell me we're getting something out of Rondale Moore finally since he's been in the NFL.
This is the hot seat on this show, guys. I know I can't just show up and toss you, top 12 options at these positions. We got to go diving a little bit, especially with the bye weeks here. And it is finally Rondale Moore season. We had the annoying hamstring injury keep him out for the first bit of the year. And we had something named Greg Dortch legitimately playing the full-time slot role and doing a decent enough job with it. So only last week did we finally see Rondale have that full-time every down slot role. And he made good use of it. Yeah, his average target depth was out of a running back. Guess who else is this year? Curtis Samuel. That's fine when we have an offense that we don't really believe in, because then we actually get that higher full PPR point floor that Rondale now has for at least 1 week. We got DeAndre Hopkins coming back next week, and we'll worry about next week then. But for this week, we got the Seahawks defense, easily the worst group in the league in terms of their performance against opposing slot receivers. Pick a stat: yards per attempt, passing touchdown rate, QB rating, explosive pass play rate, bottom 2 and all of that. So Rondale Moore against the Seahawks, 31st ranked scoring defense. I think we could have a back and forth shootout with Rondale being one of the most involved parties.
On your sit list, you have Najee Harris this week. Yeah, the Bucs D, though, I feel like where they're weakest is probably the run game. Like this year, I mean, they're
strangely enough,
their corners have been fantastic. So if maybe the Steelers just aren't going to move the ball, but tell me about why you think Najee is not a play this week.
I feel like as long as they're not playing Mahomes, they're pretty good everywhere this year over in Tampa Bay. But the big issue with Najee is he's no longer getting that ridiculous workload that allowed him to be inefficient and still be a good fantasy player. Last year, I mean, look, he eclipsed the 80% snap mark in 11 of 17 games. He's yet to get more than that this year because they believe in Jalen Warren. Mike Tomlin even came out and said that they're going to get Jalen Warren more and more involved. And it is weird, guys. Like, look, I think Najee Harris is better than Jalen Warren, but it is odd in the same offense to see one guy averaging 5 yards per carry, the other averaging 3.2, and it's the first round pick, having the ladder numbers up there. So it's one of those things where the matchup is bad, the offense looks bad, and for the first time, Najee Harris's usage isn't enough to make up for all that. So again, it's all relative. I have Najee ranked as my RB24, so there's a good chance that you might not have a better option in those lineups, but close start-sit decisions, I will be sitting Najee this week.
You have George Kittle on your start list, but I want to make sure people know that in parentheses you have but we're talking about a blowing up game. San Francisco 49ers play the Atlanta Falcons. How much production are we talking about with George Kittle here this weekend?
Oh, it's George Kittle eruption week, man. You look at what the Falcons have done this year, and they have their number one corner, A.J. Terrell, shadowing way more than he has in the past. And Michael Thomas got his 2 touchdowns on him in week 1. But, they were contested plays. Michael Thomas did a good job. More times than not, Terrell has been doing awesome. And what we've seen accordingly from that is really the number 2 pass game option has them been going off against these guys. Jarvis Landry had over 100 yards in week 1. Godwin, even on limited snaps last week, was 6 for 61. Lockett, Donovan Peoples-Jones. It's been a pretty consistent trend. And, going between Debo versus George Kittle, I go just a step further, and then we see the Falcons bottom 3 defense in targets, receptions, and receiving yards allowed to the tight end position. So we all make our left tackle jokes about George Kittle. He's running a route on over 80% of Jimmy G's dropbacks. So it's one of those things where, the guy's a freaking god at blocking. Without Trent Williams in there, it is going to be a couple more snaps per game. But I think that narrative has just been, again, beaten into the ground a little bit more than it actually is in reality. So George Kittle, yes, top 5, top 6 tight end during any given week, and I know you're starting him regardless, but especially any of you guys out there in those DraftKings streets, blow up week for George Kittle. Book it.
Should we get into some start sit?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I got this one from earlier. Catherine Greenway asked it early in the show. Could not be here for this, though. She said Kareem Hunt or James Robinson.
I am going to lean Kareem Hunt right there. We've seen it. I think I told you guys in week 4, to sit James Robinson. It was kind of like, what the hell is wrong with you, man? We brought this dude on for this. But it's just, unfortunately, in Jacksonville, they are using those guys, not even like Cleveland, where it's kind of like Nick Chubb for one series, Kareem Hunt for one series. It's just really game script dependent. And maybe the Jaguars can just get up on the Colts again and, play with this big lead. They did it in week 2. But if not, Travis Etienne is going to be that guy out there. And, hey, similar to the Jalen Warren stats, guys, I understand these running backs are used differently, and I don't want to just be the guy that looks at the scat back, averaging more yards per carry, and immediately assume he's better and stuff. But Etienne versus James Robinson, you really can't find a stat that James Robinson has been better than Etienne. And so good job by J-Rob, breaking off those 2 long touchdowns this year. But I think more and more as the season goes on, and so far it has gone this way, the Jaguars are going to lean on Travis Etienne more and more, especially if they're going to be a little worse than we expected and have to be playing with some more negative game script.
Okay, this next one goes beautifully right into it. TJ, our chat champ yesterday, asked, do I trust Etienne or go with Melvin Gordon?
Chat champ. That's awesome. I'm going to lean Melvin Gordon here at least for another week. I am a little worried about Latavius Murray coming in and making this a complicated 3-headed committee, but this would still just be his first game of the year with Denver. And guys, come on, this offense can't get that much worse than Denver, right? I still have questions about the Chargers if they really fixed their run defense, and not having Joey Bosa in there obviously isn't helping any matters for them. So once again, I will be give me Melvin Gordon.
Oh, let me see the next one here. Sorry, I got a little behind. I
got another one.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Nathan just asked this one. It's a multiplayer question here. Well, I guess all of them are, but we got 3. He needs a flex play here for you. Olave, obviously if he plays. Keenan Allen, obviously if he plays. Or Miles Sanders. So all 3 of those dudes, if it comes out to it where all of them are going to be available, who are you going with between Chris Olave, Keenan Allen, or Miles Sanders?
I think Keenan in full PPR still just deserves a nod if he's healthy enough to get out there and play. And that could be interesting what it does to Mike Williams if Mike has to start living on 5 to 6 targets per game instead of 8 to 10, especially, ahead of this week's matchup. Could be a tough shadow date over there against Patrick Surtain. And then on the other side of things with Chris Olave, hey, if Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry are going to be out and then Jameis Winston is back, that is suddenly a toss-up between Keenan and Chris Olave. Again, I lean Keenan for the floor. We've seen him do it before, but God forbid we get any notes about this dude being limited. Right. Fantasy managers still scarred from that Thursday night game last year where Keenan Allen comes out, tells the camera to start me, and then proceeds to get pulled out of the game halfway through with a hamstring injury. So that wound is still very fresh in my mind. I am going to give Keenan a slight benefit of the doubt, though, here. Miles Sanders, the usage is great. The problem is Jalen Hurts is the number 1 player in the NFL and carries inside the 5-yard line. Just tough for Miles Sanders to make up for that when they're also not throwing him the ball all that much.
You got one more?
Yeah, here's a good problem to have.
Okay.
Full PPR, it says Jeff Wilson versus Dameon Pierce.
Yeah, well, I would not play the guy in bye week, so that'd probably be a good start there. So I'm going to Jeff Wilson. Thanks for that layup, Mike.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, man, that's funny. I didn't even think of that. I actually saw that in the chat, and I was like, oh, wait a second. That's actually a good question. Dude, okay, can I ask you a trade? I know this is start sit, but can I ask you a trade one for the last one?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, all right.
I'm here.
This person says Brian Robinson and Terry McLaurin for Dameon Pierce.
Yes, go get the best player in the trade, man. That was again, I think one of just the easiest rules out there. Like whenever you can trade, 2 quarters, 4 quarters for $1, go get the dollar bill out there. And with Brian Robinson, we saw it last night. It's not Brian Robinson starting Washington RB. It's okay, you're going to go out there and play the first snap of the game. J.D. McKissick's probably going to play more than you, and guess what? Antonio Gibson's going to be in there as well. So we can live with 2 running back committees in the year 2022, 3 and 4 when things get complicated. Terry, I mean, look, I love the man. I love all my Ohio State Buckeyes. And that also includes Curtis Samuel, who happens to have led this offense in targets each and every game of the season. So with Dameon Pierce, guys, it's one of those things where, I read Mike's fantastic write-up of the guy in our PFF draft guide throughout the offseason, and he checked every single box. And, everyone talks about his ability to break tackles. And, yeah, there were no real question marks with him other than why didn't Florida give him the ball more? Well, now Houston's giving him the ball all we want. So Dameon Pierce, for me, is a consistent top 15 option. It's weird that this Texans team is just so bad with so little, rays of sunshine really with anything going on there. But hey, they give the ball to Dameon Pierce 20 times a game. So we got one thing going right in Houston these days.
Hey, sick. At least somebody will give Dameon Pierce the ball. Shout out to Ed Mullen. Thank you. God, wait. Got to move on. We got to move on. Ian, you're the best, man. Thank you so much for joining the show. Appreciate you, my friend.
Take care, guys. Happy week 6.
All right, we got bold predictions.
Let's do it.
All right, we're getting out of here with some bold predictions. Mine is extremely bold. So I'm going to let you go first.
Okay. Mine is pretty bold, too. I think Matt Ryan, Colts quarterback, gets benched.
No.
Maybe not this week.
Wait, who's the backup? Sam Ehlinger?
Sam Ehlinger, Nick Foles in the fold.
Nick Foles
there. Ehlinger, the talk of the preseason, had a fantastic preseason, but he just can't push the ball down the football field. He has 5 with this kind of how this team's built. With the running game, you have to be able to beat teams then over the top, get those explosive plays that Carson Wentz actually brought to a degree to that offense. He couldn't do. Wentz was not a consistent down and down quarterback, but at least he brought the explosive element to that offense. Matt Ryan cannot. 5 attempts this season, targeted 30-plus yards down the football field. Only 2 quarterbacks are worse than that, Ryan Tannehill, and that to me is like a personnel problem there in Tennessee where they just don't have guys open at that level of football field, and Baker Mayfield Baker Mayfield. So that is the problem to me, is that Matt Ryan, with his arm, as currently constructed, there is no explosive threat. When they have guys that can do it, Alec Pierce, 4.4 speed, 40-inch vertical. The dude that was his bread and butter at Cincinnati, was the go ball, was the deep shot. That's Matt Ryan is not opening up that offense. Nick Foles, not to say he's going to operate the offense better, but at least he has the arm strength to do it. Sam Ehlinger at least has the arm strength to do it. Matt Ryan just at this point in his career, too limited, and I think if things go south in this Jaguars game, if they're getting shut out again, they get benched.
I didn't know Foles was on his team. Yeah. I totally forgot about that.
Revenge game.
Dude, it's true.
Yeah. It's revenge to the team that gave you the $20 million.
Wait,
just because they wanted him to be the starter.
Just because they wanted him to feel good,
to feel like he's the starter.
If anybody would like to pay me way more than I'm worth just to make me feel good,
I was going to say,
this
honestly,
one's going straight to Chris Collinsworth. Chris, if you ever want to pay me more just to make me feel good, I want you to know that that's okay. I will sign that contract.
I mean, Nick Foles should revenge. He should be giving the Jags a win if he gets subbed in here for all the stuff he did.
Maybe he does. Who knows? Okay, my bold prediction said that it was going to be bold. You ready for it? Panthers beat the Rams.
Woo!
Panthers beat the Rams on the road. They've been tired of hearing about it. They watched the funeral segment. Mm-hmm. They said, "Screw you guys. We're not dead." They're coming off. They've got double new, if you will, energy on that team. Okay, new head coach Steve Wilks stepping in. Okay, they don't want to let him down. They didn't want to let Matt Rule down. That didn't exactly go well. But I think that they're even more pissed off. They're going to play well for Steve Wilks. They want to play well for themselves as well. And Baker Mayfield's not starting this game. PJ Walker is starting, which means new quarterback. Don't have the tape. You can tell me PJ's played before, but it's not going to be the same. He's a new man. He's like Geno this year, okay? Completely different person. Unrecognizable from the quarterback position. The stats that actually matter outside of the BS they just spewed there to the top, Panthers, 86 in total pressures. That's top 10 in the NFL. And we all know the Rams' woes. It's along the offensive line. 84 pressures allowed, which is worse in the NFL. 38.5 pressure rate, worse in the NFL. Matthew Stafford, 5 turnover-worthy plays when pressured. That is 29th in the NFL. There is actually a recipe where the Carolina Panthers defensive line and their pressure up front gets hot against the Rams offensive line, and this game is closer than you think that it would be. And heck, PJ Walker has a hell of a game. If the game plan looks to be a lot different with Baker Mayfield not in there, perhaps it is something that could happen. And I'll say that that's my bold prediction.
That is bold.
Panthers get a win out of nowhere in LA.
Hey.
Shock every. You know that there are those 1, 2, 3 games in an NFL season that make zero sense. You go back and you watch the tape and you go, how did this even happen? How did we get here? How did this score end up being what it was when the clock hit 0? That's going to be this week with the Panthers.
I don't see Panthers in your $5 parlay. I'm just going to say it.
You don't?
That feels like that would be a nice little chunk of change.
No, I'm throwing it to some other teams.
Okay.
Who's
you got a lot of. Okay, my $5 parlay. We're going back to my props article. You can get it on pff.com. 5 mispriced player props every single week. We're making money on the season with those player props. The ones I'm going: Marcus Mariota, under 200.5 passing yards against the San Francisco 49ers. He's only done that, I believe, a couple times all year, facing the top pass defense in the NFL. And the other big thing to me here, the most run-heavy offense in the NFL, Atlanta Falcons. Second most run-heavy offense, San Francisco 49ers. It's going to be a low game script. It's going to be a quick game, a lot of runs, a lot of clock control, meaning I don't think he goes over 200.5, even if they have to come back towards the end of that game. A.J. Dillon, under 68.5 rushing plus receiving yards. Last week, after the first 4 weeks of the season, A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones had basically had a 50-50 split in terms of snaps played. Last week, A.J. Dillon had half the snaps played of Aaron Jones because he's been nowhere near as efficient as Aaron Jones has this season. I think you see that continue throughout the season. If that is, A.J. Dillon's not going to touch anywhere close to that prop this week against the Jets, and a pretty solid run defense there. And the last one, Tom Brady, over 274.5 passing yards. After the slow start to the rushing game early in the season, they've just stopped running the football.
They have.
163 passes to 40 runs the past 3 weeks. That is insane. That is insane. It doesn't matter how, even if they play well, it doesn't matter in this game because against the Steelers, because he's going to go over that number because they pass just too much not to.
Unfortunately, I feel like they're going to swing the opposite direction
and just go run heavy. Not this game.
I don't know if it's going to be this game. I have no idea, but I do fear for that at some point. That's coming where they're like, oh, you guys say we pass the ball too much now. Lenny, 35 carries. It's coming somewhere. My $5 parlay, $5 Fridays. We talked about it. Jets, money line to win this game in Green Bay.
Come on, we don't have to get crazy.
Come on.
We could say that the Jets will cover. We
Plus
don't have
260.
to go. That is a big
That's
number
too
for.
Juicy. Look, if you want to change this one to be Jets covering, of course, that makes it a little bit easier. Payout's going to be a lot less, but still, if you want to be bold, you can go for it. I don't hate this money line call. I don't hate the Chiefs money line call because it's hilarious that the Chiefs are underdogs in this game. You got plus money. It's in Kansas City. I get that it's Buffalo, but anytime the Chiefs are getting plus money for a money line, you take it. I don't care. Even if I think the Bills are going to win the game, I would put money on the Chiefs with the money line anytime that they're plus, just because it's the Chiefs. And the last one is, I talked about this at the beginning of the week. I love this bet. Seattle, underdogs against the Arizona Cardinals. What part of the Cardinals makes you think that they're going to be better than one of the top 3 playing quarterbacks in the NFL right now? Top 3, top 5, however you want to say it, with Geno Smith. I have more faith in what the Seattle Seahawks are doing than I do the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, they're not too dissimilar as rosters outside of.
And one of them has quarterback
and
playing
one
a
of them
lot
has
better.
a quarterback playing better. Yeah.
Playing a lot better. You put $5 in this bad boy, you get 87. If you swap out the Jets one with the Panthers, I just did this while you were talking about it. The payout is 115 because the Panthers money line
Jets
is plus 375.
Plus 375.
I'm throwing money at the wall every week, and if I hit one bet, y'all can't tell me shit.
Let's see. You have to go 10 weeks, or no, probably with how many you're doing. You probably got the whole season to hit one. And if you hit one, it's worthwhile. So with how much yours are, the ROI on a $5 bet yours are doing. So all you need is one.
All you need is one. That's the motto of my. That's my motto of my $5 Friday parlay.
Dog lays.
All you need. All you need is one. It is dog leg. I'm going dog leg every single week because it's more entertaining. All right, what's your final answer for the question of the day? We'll throw the question of the day back up here. If you guys haven't guessed yet, or even if you have, fire off in the chat what you think your answer to this question is. Carson Wentz dropped back 25 times and recorded 99 passing yards last night in their victory over the Bears. Who was the last quarterback to drop back at least 25 times, less than 100 yards passing, and still win the game? This happened. Quinn's hint was that it's a household name.
Yeah.
It's someone who you'd go, yeah, they're good for one of those every single year. Mm-hmm. And it was just last year.
My thoughts were either Drew Lock or Baker Mayfield. I think I'm going to go Baker Mayfield, though, because they won more games. Baker. Final answer.
Quinn's second hit makes me think that it's not Roethlisberger. The only other one that I think I would guess is Tua. Stop. I guess I'll go Tua. I'm gonna hate myself if it's Roethlisberger, but I'm gonna go with Tua here. A lot of people are saying that it's Tua. We've got some Carson Wentz final answer. Sean says Kirk Cousins. Oh, Ben's saying Week 15 Kirk Cousins, so maybe it is Kirk Cousins.
Oh.
Who is it? Who's that? All right, let's get the answer to it. Let's hear it.
Lucas S. is our chat champ because he was the first one to get it right. And it is Kirk Cousins.
Lucas!
Against the Bears.
Oh.
30 dropbacks, 87 yards.
That
17-9 win.
Terrible.
Yeah.
What?
And discouraging if you're a Bears fan because that's twice in the span of less than a full season.
Gotta be honest, don't remember that one.
I don't. Yeah, that game.
Block that one out.
Yeah,
I think it was probably a 1
blacked
o'clock regional game.
Yeah.
Unless you're like a Vikings or a Bears fan, you probably didn't watch it.
Lucas, way to go. Way to be the chat champ. Way to know that answer right off the bat. First one to get it right.
Oh, my
Definitive.
God. Want to hear an insane stat from that also?
Yeah, I always do.
24 attempts, 87 yards. His average depth of target was still 12.9 yards down the football field.
No.
That almost seems impossible.
What?
I don't know how. He must have missed every single throw past the line of scrimmage to do that.
But that's why I said, like, he's good for one of those a year.
He had still 12 completions, 12 of 24. But just that passing map had to look hilarious. It's probably just like green here, red here, anywhere past the line.
That is egregious.
12.9.
I feel like Kirk is good for just one just awful game a year. And then to your point, Mike, like, yeah, he pads his stats. He grades well for us.
That is a
But there's one game a year where it's
One
just
stinker.
it's really, really bad.
What in the world?
Yeah.
LeBron James says, I think it was Monday Night Football. Was that Monday Night Football?
Was it? Let's see.
Let's-
Week 15 last year.
Vikings, Bears, Week 15. Now I gotta know. Battle of the internet connection here. Whoever can get it first. December 20th. Doesn't tell me anything.
It was Monday.
That
Monday Night Football.
is unbelievable. None of us remember that game, and it was on Monday Night Football.
I mean, I know Monday Night Football last year had the worst slate of primetime games I've ever seen. It was comically, just at the end of the week, every week, you're just like, I'd rather work, do my other shit I got to do, than watch this game. They just had such a bad lineup. It was almost comical.
Patrick said, man had the dodgeball, quote, fall off the roller coaster and break every bone in his body game that game. It's good. It's a good poll. Really great poll. Great movie in dodgeball. Classic throwback. All right, everybody. That's the show. That's the show. That's the week here on It's Just Football. Appreciate everybody for watching. Lucas, you are the chat champ, which means you carry that crown into the weekend. Make sure that you are back here on Monday for Monday's show, as you have to represent as the leader of the chat, bringing the crown back home on Monday. We're going to have a lot of fun on Monday, recapping everything that we see on Sunday for the Sunday slate. A lot of really big games as we went over for the Week 6 schedule in the NFL. So it's going to be fun. We will see you guys right here on this desk at 11 a.m. on Monday morning. For Trevor Sikkema, that is Mike Renner. For everybody in the production suite, have a good weekend. We'll see you guys then.
It's not about politics, it's about football.
This is a simple game.
We're going to run the ball, and we're going to pass the ball. He's just going to play football, really.
How good of a football player are you?
I just get in and try to spin it. That's all.
I just love the game.
It really is the best time of the year.